Hi, we're Kayla and Lavinia from Generation Ag.
And we're in the Southern Rangelands looking at some of the revegetation and revitalisation some of the pastoralists in the region are implementing. We chatted to 3 different pastoralists who are passionate about revegetation of their stations. Our first chat was with Toby from Edah Station, where we were able to understand some of his work utilising natural bush and shrubbery to maintain and manipulate water runoff to be able to provide more opportunities for natural vegetation to grow.
My name's Toby Nichols. I bought, with my brother and 2 other partners, we bought Edah Station in 2015. When we bought the place, our neighbours to the east and west were running sheep, and now both of those properties are destocked largely because of the dog situation. We did run small mobs of sheep. Eventually we had to face reality that we couldn't compete with the dogs. Around trying to divert water away from areas where it's running very quickly, try to get it to spread out across the landscape and try to get the water to be held in the landscape rather than running off into drainage channels and rivers and salt lakes. We're hoping that by reducing grazing pressure and increasing ground cover in both perennial and annual grasses that we can improve water rehydration. We believe that probably pre-pastoralism, we believe that the perennial grasses were widespread in this area, and they obviously help to hold the soil together and to help water infiltration. We've got a short-term gain of increasing the productivity of the property through regeneration.
Yeah.
My vision, and I think my brother's vision as well, is to improve the condition of the property, particularly the flora, the soil. We certainly would like to run it as a profitable grazing enterprise again. I'm hoping that I can live out my days here and be buried under a gum tree or a mulga tree.
Beautiful. How could you not want that? It's stunning here. Next up, we were given a lovely welcome to Pindabana Station, where we were met by Don and his wife.
I looked around, eventually I bought this in 2006 and we emigrated here in 2008. It's a big station with a lot of opportunity at the time. Our family got to South Africa in 1697. I think just about every generation has one way or other been tied up with farming. We've always had one foot in the paddock. So we've grown up in a similar sort of rainfall area, and I could picture country in a drought situation, and that's what this country was. We regenerated with the help of old man saltbush and contours, just spreading the water. It's not rocket science, it's just getting the water out of the creek and spread onto what used to be obviously a beautiful sponge floodplain. And what we're starting to see here is a lot of your blue bushes and the quality perennials are starting to come back into this floodplain. We've had a couple of good seasons, so we've had a good start. It's just a case that down the line one would like to make this land sustainable so that our next generations might enjoy it as much as I have.
Our third episode part is Jorgen, who is on Yarrow Station. Jorgen too is so passionate about his land. Having used loaders to revitalise the land has been great for him, and they've been able to trap water and completely change the landscape to actually create these beautiful sort of swamps and ponds. And
I grew up here on and off for the last 25 years. Had been a sheep station for a long time. I went to Africa in early 2000s and I looked at some semi-arid type farming over there. It was quite interesting just seeing how they manage similar landscapes. We got out of sheep in 2016. We were losing way too many. We've got cattle here at the moment, not very many, but we've got some. We've had more. It's just one of those things you've got to start doing it and then just keep learning and trying. The biggest advantage out of it, and again, the results we're seeing, I didn't anticipate to see them that quickly. I mean, obviously there's an increase in vegetation, fodder. Yeah. We're still going to get droughts, obviously. We're in that part of the country. Yeah. I think it's making sure you've got each country type set up in such a way that it gets full advantage of whatever rain does fall on it, and then you can manage from there. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to do it yourself. You have to put that investment in, hoping it's going to pay off in the future. But I obviously believe it will. It's an incredibly fragile environment, and I like the idea of grazing animals on it without damaging it. Hopefully trying to improve it with animals, actually, which again I believe is more than possible. I'd like to be able to concentrate on what stock you're running instead of, constantly being away or fencing all the time or whatever it might be. It'd be good to get to a point where, okay, this is what we're doing now. We're running this type of stock, and we're trying to do the best out of that as we can.